As confident down.
Yeah, just get it up.
How's that?
Laughing.
Okay. Okay, right. Okay, can you just tell me what your name is, please?
I'm oteguigi.
And can you just tell me your involvement with promotion as yourself as an artist?
Well, yeah, I'm playing a band called the T Street Band. We do national promotions with that, but outside of the band are playing and what I'm promoting there, I work with Liverpool Sound City involved with promoting them, and my mate's company called Harvest Sun Promotions, which deals with international and national touring bands. Bring them into the city and promote them acts around town.
Really good, okay. So can you tell me one of your strangest times you've promoted yourself or anybody else?
I'd say the maddest way in the band sense that I've promoted it is being on a very bad pink Fred Perry t-shirt to appear in as a model in Arena magazine to go out to like 200,000 people a month readership. So all the Maybes, the band was called at the time, we all dressed up basically in really bad clothes styled by a company. And we could get in the magazine and we looked terrible.
But did that help, do you think, the band?
Didn't help our ego. But it was off somewhere along the line. You know, you can't, the bottom line, you've got to take the ridiculous nature of it out, not worry about that. It's about getting the name to the furthest possible amount of people.
Okay. What about how you've promoted other people? What have you done? I mean, do you draw the line with how far you push with your Harvest Sun thing? You know.
See, I just work on the basis of what the bands that we get in.
The style and that.
Exactly. It's got to go hand in hand because you're selling to the people that want to come and watch that type of music. You're not going to put and promote their music in areas that are unfitting to a different demographic or anything. You've got to understand your client base and the people that want to watch the music and first and foremost the band and the product itself.
Okay, so what about management and booking agents?
Well, when I was in the band, the Maybes and in the T Street Band, dealt with booking agents both sides. Booking agents do help with promoting to a degree because they've got the access to support slots with massive touring bands, international regarded acts. So if they can get you on a high profile gig, they can play in front of maybe 2,000 to 5,000 people. That exposure is massive. You could get a great review from that. They're opening you basically into doors that you wouldn't necessarily get into. A label, promotion-wise, with the lack of money in music, or not music, but in selling records right now, they're finding it hard, and the record label will be bound by budget, I reckon. If they've got a lot of money to spend, they can get you where they want, adverts, radio plugging.
There's the label, yeah.
Yeah, but even without the money, if they're involved in good communities and they're proactive, like the label we work with at the moment, Jack Tafono, for the T Street Band, they do really well in radio plugging. They've got a lot of friends in radio, all the friends with a lot of the producers and a lot of the presenters, so they're getting us a lot of radio. They haven't got the same pull in press, so we've had no press. They haven't got the money either way to put into both, to get a marketing firm in or to get to pay a plugger. So they're lacking in that, but based on their communities and their relationships with people in the media, they've managed to get us some good exposure. They're like radio, we had Radio 1, Radio 2 play a few times now because of them.
Right, okay, but you said about mention publishing. How do you find as they sell?
Publishing, generally they're not meant to promote you, but if you've got a really good publisher and it does just work well, then he can promote you bigger than any of the other facets of the music industry you're working with. The old example, like a Levi's advert, again, you manage to get that synchronisation deal for that. You are going in mass media worldwide with a big, massive marketing campaign behind it. Like, people will know your music by then, and so indirectly that can get you massive exposure on an international level.
Okay, we talked about competition and different audience, and also about your hashtag you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, that's to do with Twitter and all online community. See,
is that your online?
There's a few different ways as a band. First and foremost, I'll go from that side as opposed to the work I do with other promoters. Promoting my own band, starts with, it's multifaceted, and it starts with yourself. And every aspect of yourself. The clothes you wear, the people you're knocking around with, the music you're listening to, where you're going with your time, and then how you tell the world about it, how you're interacting with the people you're interacting with, personally, physically, online, on the phone, through your music, and you've got to engage every aspect of it. So, like, I go and attend, our band plays raves, I go and attend a lot of raves I'm involved in, with rave community in Liverpool and dance nights, and I'm also involved with indie, so to speak, genre rock and roll bands. So I go to a lot of them events and involve myself in them. When you're out walking around, you've got the power of word of mouth. You'll be involved with that, and then also the people that come down to your shows and go to them other shows, you're involved with them, involved with their tribal culture, what they buy into, whether it's the music the other bands they're into, the nights they like to go into, the drugs they like going into, the bars they like going to, the clothes they like wearing. You find you can tap into either that, you can do it, I suppose.
So is it like you sort of like widespread with communities now?
Yeah, you've got to embrace your community. You can do it contrived and really try and go, well, what's that community about, and start wearing their clothes. But I think that people see through that. You find out the community you're naturally in, and then amplify that, and then utilise the parts of it that work. So like, we're involved heavily in football going, casual culture, Liverpool, Northwest, like football crowd. They'll come down to our gigs, we go to the same shows they go to, we're into the same bands. You tend to get involved in the same events, you're friends with them, you're part of that thing. Like then, when you're part of a culture and part of a community, they feel you're part of them, they feel ownership, they're going to express that, they're going to share your music, they're going to push you further, they're going to promote you without knowing. To the mates, when they're sitting down, they're going to put you on to the mates.
And talk about liking it as a person
exactly,
as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It starts definitely with yourself, with the band, and your physical interactions. But then take that into the other aspects of, like, online communities, Facebook, Twitter. Like, Facebook's a community or a network. Facebook's a network. Twitter's about communities. Like-minded interests. Whereas Facebook's the people you know and the people you've met, and then you're maintaining them communication routes through them, and through Twitter, it's through like-minded content. People aren't bothered on Twitter if you haven't got no content, they don't know you exist. Whereas Facebook, they know you as a person, and they use it as a communication model. It obviously isn't as strict as that, it moves beyond, but the way they're set up allows them two different sides. So you've got it online. I've got friends, say on Twitter followers, that might have 50,000, like Clint Boone from the Inspiral Carpets, or someone, a radio presenter. I've got them and they're my friends personally, but to be friends through that, I share their stuff, and in turn they share mine. So don't lie, I might only have like the T3 band, a share capacity of 7,000 followers. When we're resharing other people's, and then we get them to theirs, it's sort of multiplied, because Clint Boone might retweet my gig that I'm putting out tonight. So instead of me just going out to my 7,000 people, it'll go out to his 30,000 people.
Yeah, so it's all about friends as well, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's about setting up, that's where the communities are important.
Communities online,
but then the content you're bringing, and you've got to know it's got to be valid, because if I'm selling a car, Clint Boone isn't going to retweet selling a car.
Can't sell what you don't like, is it? You've got to like it as well.
And it's got to be in tune with his online persona, with his brand, and it's got to be in tune with our brand and what we're doing. So I'm not going to necessarily put up, if I'm to express to your community as a band the music you're into, you might post music videos you like, or that are representative of your culture, I suppose. I'm not going to put up, if I'm in a rave band, I'm not necessarily going to put up like Joni Mitchell or Crosby, Stills, Nash. It doesn't mean I don't love that music, but to the people I'll be going and involved, that I'm reaching, and then so that they know what they're getting from our music and the music we make as a group, it's got to match and got to be to the degree in tune with that.
What audience you're going for.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to, as I mentioned, you know about positive and negatives, and I mentioned about boundaries before. I mean, do you believe in, like, there's a saying, you can push it so far? Or?
Well, some people do adopt, like going back to David Bowie or someone, isn't it? Some people do adopt acts or a persona and then sell that, and then they can give the audience, whether it's on there or like yourself or whatever, anywhere they go, they can give it to the mass, like to the full extent, and act that role. Some people, like say Noel Gallagher, deliver themselves, and it's very much it's Noel, you know what Noel's about, and he's got that thing, like say the Peter Andre, Katie Price thing, where they'll sell the whole, their life is an asset, and the way they go about is an asset.
Yeah.
I think there is pros and cons to a lot of it.
It's what you share, it's what you share,
it's all about, yeah, so, and it's all going to work if you use it right and if you bend it, I suppose, right. But it's only going to be intrusive if you let it. Because there is football players that hype, say like from the Manchester United team in the 90s, Paul Scholes was scoring more goals than David Beckham. Paul Scholes wasn't in the media, he didn't give them the media.
Right.
David Beckham sought it, he's a media asset, he went down and got behind it. It's all a matter of what you're willing to give. And then within that as well, what persona you're willing to give and what you want to...
What you're showing, whatever image you're giving to the world.
Exactly, yeah. And then
so you've got
a choice in that. Like, don't get carried away, don't get caught up in it. Deliver what you want to deliver. And then no one can really abuse that then, because they're only getting what you've set out.
What you've given to them.
Yeah,
okay. Can you just mention how you first started out? You know, really, maybe did you... posters and stuff, you remember, go back?
Before I was in the Maybes, I used to promote the Maybes with my mate Nick, who started the band. Like, I used to put up, back then, the internet wasn't really prevalent, social media didn't exist. Like, it was flyers, handing out physical flyers on the street outside Quiggins, outside football matches, putting up posters yourself. We actually, when I was in the Maybes, we were actually spraying. We were in Guerrilla Marketing. We used to spray around the city. We were vandals basically, but that's, you're doing it guerrilla, you're doing ambient marketing on the front there, whatever way you can get it on the lowest possible budget, access into people's minds. So the same way Coke are having adverts on bus stops or whatever, just think the same way. You might have to do it illegally, that's up to you, that's your own moral choice. I wouldn't promote that to people to do, but it certainly worked for us.
Right, okay, can you just give me like a little where you went from there? You know, how's promotion changed for you?
I'd say from then, that was all physical, that was all ambience, that was all
one-to-one, being your own manager.
Yeah, peer-to-peer in the reality sense. But now, you know, as you're moving on through the industry, you're working with professionals in different games, professional pluggers, professional press, PR, people, you know, artists, other bands. You're going further afield, so you're now becoming national. Then you've got obviously the internet hand in hand with it. It's all encompassing now, where it used to be pretty much like down to that one act, whereas now because of like cameras, and you can put them then anywhere on people's phones, Instagram, you know, every aspect of your life can be recorded, utilised or spun in a certain way, from a new pair of trainees to like the bottle of Copperberg or something you just had, or you're sitting at a festival and you've got a snapshot of the festival you're in, or they can be utilised and made the most of it to a set list, or like a new guitar you've just bought. People want to, that's interesting content that if you're building up a fan base, they would want to engage in and will maintain. So I think that's more about maintaining your fan base and the interest of them, as opposed to scoring a new fan base, I'd say.
So it's a bit like people copying off you in a way, that's okay?
Well, like, no, anyone should copy, anyone should, you know, if someone's got everything we ever do is recycled, is postmodern. We've learnt it from somewhere before. Maybe when we've mastered craft enough, we can put our own slant on it, but I feel like there's no competition in music, there's no competition anyway. Like, maybe in the monetary sense, there's that.
What about your fashion and style and that?
Like,
do you have your own, like, look?
Image, yeah. I think that can be contrived again, you know what I mean? And if you're in a pop band, then that definitely will. I think bands, as they're existing, should just go with what they're doing, me personally, and then you find anyway that you have a natural style, and then you look back and go, we look like that, that is our style, and then you can contrive it post-product, not prior. and then you can work, and then you understand the product a bit more. We're that type of band, we wear that type of clothes, so we could, because we do that, you know, we've been sponsored by a few clothing companies to wear their clothes, and because naturally we wear that style, and the demographic they're trying to sell to is us as people, but also who come down to our shows. So then we just had a set of, there's an Admiral, an old 80s, 70s clothing company, used to do football kits, because we're involved with casual culture. They just give us a load of their new line of clothes to wear.
Just to give you them?
Yeah, they give us them last week. We had to do photographs.
Having
to wear. A couple
give them for your keep? Can you keep them?
Yeah, keep them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's great. Like, if the gear's nice, sometimes it's crap and you don't want to wear it, but like then you don't. But if it's nice, you wear it.
So you're getting paid for that as well?
Well, no, you
just get free clothes.
Free clothes, and that's good enough.
Right,
like photographs, get your photograph taken it on stage wearing it. It works for them and it works for you. You can put it, and it works both ways all the time. But it's nice to
it's really good, isn't it? You know, okay. Communities again, you know, I know you're quite big with communities, aren't you?
That's to promote yourself. That is the biggest possible thing. You can walk around the street with a megaphone saying, "Come and watch me, come and watch me, come and watch me." It's falling on deaf ears, like, and you're gonna annoy maybe even the people that do want to hear you might be put off by that. But if you're going and finding out the people that want to listen to this type of music, you're finding out what they're about, what they're into, their interests, involving yourself in what they like, in their pastimes, what they're doing. Like, that's the community. That's massively important, I find. Or, well, it can be massively successful if you wield it right.
By mixing.
By involving yourself in their community.
It's so important to be getting out there and mix with the right people, isn't it?
Well, it can go both ways. Well, some people might do it from a laptop, some people might do it personally, physically, but it should be engaged in either way.
Trying to stick to like-minded people.
Yeah, well, yeah, just understand that they're going to get into the music, and you still want to spread the net further afield, but like, again, that's other communities, you know, like certain people like going to Mellow, certain people like going to Leaf, certain people like going to Chibuku events, certain people like going to see Evol events, they might go to that. Some people are bound by a venue, some people are bound by a genre, some people are bound by a promoter or a prestige. Like, tap into all of them. You can find out what each one's about and where then what you're doing could fit in or not. And then you know you don't have to maybe
waste your time
and waste their time as well.
Right, okay. So, like, coming to the conclusion part of it, do you feel that, you know, it's a lot to do with awareness and being on the ball and stuff, you know?
That's grew. A lot of what we used to do when I first started out, you were doing naturally. Then over time, you've realised what you've done naturally has either been successful or not. You tend to stick to the successful part. So, like, every part of what you do, you are capable to use promotions every second of the day. Like me doing this with you, whoever's watching this, you now know about the bands I'm in. This is a useful tool. You're walking on the street, like the music you're listening to, you see someone listening to music, you like what music you're listening to. It's all encompassing and should all be utilised. Don't stop at any cost, and don't think that there's a boundary. To, you know, you are the content provider, get it out there.
What about incorporates? Strikes incorporates, what's that mean to you?
No, that's incorporating everything.
Is that like everything?
Yeah, it's all encompassing. Yeah, you want to incorporate every.
Make people stand up.
You want to incorporate every aspect of your life. Utilise it because you've got through multimedia, you've got audio visual capabilities of expression now. It's not bound to the radio, and you've got the power to put that across to a mass audience through the internet. Utilise it. So take pictures of you and your mates out when you're doing certain things, embrace it, and know that it's going to go in that community. It's worthwhile to the band you're in. People might see it as something they don't want to do, that's okay for them. There's people in the bands I'm in that don't lend themselves to that, they're not interested in that. It doesn't have an effect on us, as long as some of us are doing it. And I do think that it's, and in terms of, you know, the investors, they will want you to do that. They will want to see a community, they want to see who you're going to be selling to. When you want to look at it as totally product-minded as A&R do, you know, they want that. They will encourage that, or they will pay someone to do it, and you will have to abide by their thing. So you might as well generate it yourself.
So, no, we were saying last time about your record label, and sometimes you can feel like it shackles you kind of thing, so it can take away a bit of your freedom.
Yeah.
So what would you say, what's the best thing to do then about that?
Set up your own community, set up your own
and
image.
Still be free.
Well, if you've contrived it and nobody else has, then you've only got yourself to blame if you're fed up of it.
Okay. So you sort of just want to be noticed and remembered.
Everywhere you're going, you want your voice to be heard. You want your chord to be heard. You want it reverberate. You want it echoed. So you can do that on stage, off stage. Like maybe not when you're sleeping, but you know, every time you're walking around town, I'm going to leave here and go to town and walk through. I'll be looking and popping into the few places I'm going. You being there, they might ask what I'm up to. Oh, I've got a gig on tonight. You fancy coming down? There's all aspects of it as well at the same time. I'll be tweeting about what I'm doing. I might even tweet about doing this thing of it and it going round, you know, that's to be done. And you should do it because it also looks to the people. I'm actively engaged in the media by doing this. I'm actively engaged in something in the college community.
Yeah, so you've got a gig on tonight?
Yeah, we've got a gig on tonight in the shipping forecast. Not me, the band, but as a promotions company. So I'll be going down and having to do a few bits. Just keep the word spread, isn't it? So we're getting to Harvest Sun, Sound City and the T Street Band. And that's what you should be doing, no matter where you go.
Okay, so thank you for coming in, Nicholas.
Cheers, Sandra, thanks man.
Okay, that's fine.
Boss, sorted. How much have you got there?